everyone, and welcome to the subservicing scene. Today, we will be focusing on the bankruptcy changes that went into effect December of 2025 and discuss the operational impact. I'm Mignon Davis, and I'm joined by Jen Hughes. Together, we run subservicing oversight here at Richey May. All right, let's dig in. This is one of the most significant overhauls to Rule 3002.1 since it was first adopted back in 2011. The amendments introduce 3 new motions and notices that fundamentally change how we handle mortgage claims in Chapter 13 cases. Let's discuss them one at a time. The first one is the motion to determine status of the mortgage claim, which is filed using the new official form. Think of it as a mid-case audit. Either the trustee or the borrower can file this motion at any point during the case. Just to clarify this, Jen, we didn't have a formal mechanism for a mid-case check-in before. Is that correct?
Exactly. Previously, there was no standardized process for parties to reconcile the status of a mortgage claim during the life of the plan. This motion allows the trustee or borrower to essentially say, let's verify where we stand right now, what's been paid, what's owed, and whether there are any discrepancies.
And what's required from the servicer side if they disagree?
If the servicer disagrees with the facts or amounts in the motion, they must file a response within 28 days using the designated official form. And it's not just a simple objection. The response must include additional documentation, such as a payoff statement, and if they claim the borrower is not current, an itemized payment history for the entire post-petition period. If there's a disagreement, the court determines the status. That's a big change, and there's no limit on how many times this can be filed.
That's correct. Even though the rule does not limit the number of mid-case audits that may be filed, excessive filings will be subject to court review. The industry is still watching to see how aggressively trustees and borrowers will use this, but operationally, servicers need to be ready to respond within that 28-day window every single time. Okay, so that's the mid-case piece. Jen, will you describe the end-of-case process?
Sure. This is where the second major change comes in, the trustee's notice of disbursements made. It's a direct replacement of the old notice of final cure.
The practical difference between the old notice of final cure and this new notice is that the old notice of final cure simply indicated the plan had been completed and the final cure payment has been made. The new notice is far more detailed, so it gives both sides a much clearer picture at case closing.
Exactly. And here's a critical operational note. The trustee must file this notice at the end of every Chapter 13 case with a mortgage, even if the mortgage disbursements are $0.
So the servicer has 28 days to respond using the new official form. Under the old rule, servicers only had 21 days to respond to the notice of final cure. So that timeline has actually been extended slightly, but the documentation requirements are more robust. Jen, can you explain the third new motion?
Yes. After the trustee's notice of disbursements made has been served and the servicer has responded, or the 28-day response window has lapsed, either the trustee or the borrower may file a motion to determine final cure and payment of the mortgage claim using the new official form. They have 45 days after service of the servicer's response, or after the trustee's notice if the servicer didn't respond, to file this motion.
So this is the final resolution step. The court formally determines whether the borrower has cured everything.
Yes. If the servicer disagrees, they must respond within 28 days using the new official form. And that response must include a payoff statement, detailed information on what is still owed, and an itemized payment history. The court then makes the final determination.
So to summarize the sequence, during the case, parties can file the motion to determine status as a check-in. At the end of the case, the trustee files the notice of disbursements made, and then if needed, there's the motion to determine final cure to get a court ruling on whether everything's been satisfied.
That's it. And I'd add one more layer. The rule's scope has expanded significantly. It no longer just applies to loans where contractual installment payments are being made. It now covers any payments on the debt through the Chapter 13 plan. That means cram downs, loans paid in full during the plan, and even reverse mortgages are now included.
Okay, let's go over some of the operational impacts that servicers experienced this year after the rule went into effect. Here's the top three. First, form readiness. Servicers needed to make sure all 6 new official forms were loaded into their systems and mapped to the correct filing events. The second item was response tracking. The 28-day response deadlines are strict. Servicers needed to build automated alerts and workflows to track every incoming motion and notice. And the third is documentation standards. Servicers needed to ensure their payoff statements and itemized payment histories were accurate and audit ready at all times. Incorrect information could result in sanctions under the updated penalties provisions. Jen, are there any other operational changes you want to mention?
Yes, the HELOC payment change notice changes while we're at it. Don't forget the HELOC streamlining. Servicers now have the option to file payment change notices annually instead of with every rate change, as long as the payment change isn't by more than $10 in any single month. The annual notice must include a reconciliation figure. And then QC program updates. Servicers' quality control review criteria needed to be enhanced to reflect these new filing requirements and response timelines.
Thank you, Jen. That was great clarification. And thank you, everyone, for your time today. We hope you found this information beneficial. And if you have any questions or would like to reach out to discuss how Richey May can help you, please contact us. And next time, we'll dive into another one of our subservicer hot topics. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.